semi-hollow.
Check.
Like a 335, you know, like I was saying.
But it's raunchy, though.
Well, yeah, because look at the motherfucker who's playing it.
Bro.
And it's got single coils, so it's closer to
Did you find it in a music store?
No, dude. One of my guitar teachers from college, he lives up in.
Can you move this to the right just a little bit, your seat? And I'm gonna bring this speaker next to you, or no, I'm gonna bring the.
You ready to sample something?
Yo. We are in the fucking ElectricLouieLand situation.
You know, like I said, I've been lucky enough to interview some different professionals that I admire and people that I've been, happen to run into. So this ended up working out perfect, and I think let's just get it going. So welcome everyone. Thanks for being here. We are stoked to have a very special guest. We have a show coming up tomorrow at Acid Vault, but I'm going to pass it over to Ricky just to explain and say hi to everyone. And let me introduce my good friend Ricky G right here, Ricky Giordano.
What's up, y'all? It's great to be here. Thank you to Louis V, ElectricLouieLand, for having us on. I have the incredible, immense honor to present to you Mr. Lige Curry.
Woof, 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 woof. What's up?
Parliament Funkadelic in the house.
Yeah,
right here.
man. Lige Curry up in this mug, man.
We got Jeremy Deitz next to me on the drums.
On the beats.
Look, you don't have to be right on it if you don't want. You can just chill back. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm just so used to singing sweet.
Yeah, I don't have the volume like Lige does. But, man, this is really an honor, a pleasure, a blessing to be in the presence of this man. I mean, Funkadelic is like on my Mount Rushmore of musical artists. Me kind of coming as a guitar player, coming from the Jimi Hendrix thing.
Of course, yeah.
And then discovering funk as I got a little bit older. Funkadelic is the perfect marriage of my two loves. And so to be able to play this music with a member of the Funkadelic, it's like, it's the shit that you dream about.
Of course, yeah.
Many people don't get the opportunity to do. So I got to thank Jeremy for introducing me to Lige and for Lige just being so open to playing with these youngsters, and getting us in shape.
That's right.
Hey, man, youngsters, but you guys are very well trained and, disciplined.
I appreciate that, man.
So we're here. I just got to hear them rehearse. They're doing the show tomorrow, and you guys sound great. I mean, I'm really excited. Ricky was like, "Hey, I want to do a special night."
Yeah, we rehearsed today. Dude, I'm telling you, I mean, I've been with Mr. Clinton for a while. It's like we don't ever rehearse. We don't have set lists. So actually, doing this tonight was really good for me.
Okay.
I know they were learning or whatever, but it brought me back to the way the records were actually made.
Right.
And since they learned the songs from the records, I had to be on my shit. I was like, damn, okay, and and that really that's inspiring to me, because the music is so old. Mr. Clinton started back in the 50s, and I started with him in the late 70s and 78, 79. So the catalog is huge. The music is legendary. It's all of that Hall of Fame and everything, so.
Man, so do you remember the first Parliament record that you heard?
Yeah. It was the Up for the Downstroke record. Because that was like around the 70s, I was a teenager, and, I was more into the Funkadelic albums, It wasn't Parliament Funkadelic.
Right.
Back then, it was Parliament, which were the singers.
Right.
And then it was Funkadelic, which was the band. and later it became Parliament Funkadelic. You know, they were all the same guys. You know, just were talented. You know, enough to get. You know, George was able to get record deals. You know, separate record deals for so many different artists at the time. And Funkadelic was, you know, the band. Like I said, those were the guys. Parliament was just, you know, to me, they were the singers, you know, and they were the ones, you know, Mr. Clinton, they all went to Motown. But you know, I got hip to them. Like, the Parliament's first record was like in the 50s.
Right.
You know, and then by the 60s, he got a hit, like in 67, I Just Want to Testify. You know, so that was a thing where, you know, he'd already had a hit before I even joined the band.
Right.
You know, and they had already changed the image, because they went from like the doo-wop days of the 50s, singing on the street corners, you know. Mm-hmm. You know, they were trying to be an image of the Temptations. It's like, you know, Motown had all of that sold up. So, you know, they went to Detroit to see if they could do some things. But, you know, Up for the Downstroke, though, that was my first one. You know, that was the one that I heard from Parliament. I was like, oh, this is pretty slick.
So,
you know,
before you heard Parliament,
yeah,
who was your influences, or the music? What music did you listen to that you really loved? And then when you heard Parliament, it was like, or Funkadelic rather,
yeah,
it was like, oh, what influenced before?
Well, you know, when I was a teenager coming up, we listened. You know, like me and my cousin Mike Hampton. You know, a lot of people might not know that he's my first cousin, and he's also the Kid Funkadelic, lead guitarist for Parliament Funkadelic for a long time now. So, you know, he got in the group in 74. I came around 78, 79. But we were listening to, like, just all, you know, it was a radio station in Cleveland. It was WMMS, home of the buzzard. And, you know, we latched on to groups like Yes, and we were into like Jeff Beck, all of the kind of like progressive rock.
Wow.
You know, King Crimson.
Yeah.
King Crimson. You know, we were more like trying to go for just playing more.
Right.
You know, and we heard the commercial stuff. But that's the kind of stuff that we heard on the radio, right. You know, where we grew up, you know. You know, it was James Brown, it was all of that, you know, in the neighborhood. But we was listening to more than that, you know. Pink Floyd, all of that, you know, all of that stuff that was just trippy but progressive at the same time, you know. And, you know, and when I heard, you know, some of the Funkadelic stuff, you know, some of the stuff that we're doing, it kind of reminds me of that period.
Let me shut that.
Oh, it's the garage. Dude,
Yeah.
I was like, what is that?
You thought it was like a computer glitch?
I was tripping.
I thought it was like aliens coming in.
I thought it was in my computer because I got this.
Let me check on
Yeah, check on it.
Yeah, aliens were coming in, you know what I'm saying?
Was your first instrument always bass?
No. My first instrument was a guitar.
Really?
Yes, because at the time, you know, like I said, my cousin Mike and myself, we kind of grew up playing together, you know. He started before I did. Mm-hmm. And it was one of them things where he's a little older than me, and, you know, I wanted one because he had one, and then he was getting pretty good at it. You know, he had started taking lessons and stuff. And but I was really off into sports first, you know. But I had a guitar. I created a little band with it. The band, we had like a power trio that was big in the 70s. And the first band I had was called LSD. And but it stood for Lige, Shep, and Daryl.
Okay.
You know, it was all
That's
three
tight.
of our names.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's, you know. But then we didn't stay together too long. We broke up a little bit because one of the guys, the bass player, I was playing guitar then. See, that's another thing about the guitar. And but the bass player broke his hand. We had entered this talent show, and then he couldn't play, and then he got discouraged, and then that little band broke up.
I see.
So
Are you still recording?
Yeah. Sorry, it's all right. We can just wait a minute. Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna back out and then shut the garage. And
Cool.
Be good.
No worries, man.
but that's kind of cool though. Get the sounds of reality.
Yeah.
Man, what planet are you from?
I try to be from the planet Earth, but you know, there's a lot of planets out there
Try to
that.
stay grounded.
You have a
Yeah,
a
this is my home planet.
You have a warmth and kindness about you that I just wouldn't expect.
Well,
Yeah. You're totally right.
In the just in everything, with everything you've done, with everywhere you've been, with the music that you play, like for you to be just such a warm, hardcore, jolly fellow.
Well, you know, that's the first thing. When I got in the band, I noticed, like, as hardcore as the band was with the music and the way everybody looked, you know, it was a family unit with just love
Wow.
at the end of each day.
That's
Even if you fought all day, you still found a way to find that love, you know, because we were all there for a reason, you know, and it was something that I learned, because I'm not, you know, the group, you know, with George and Eddie and the Garys and the Tikis and the Grady's and all of these Rays, and they all came from Plainfield, New Jersey, you know, and me and Mike met them when they came through Cleveland.
So let's talk about that. How did you go from being a fan of the Funkadelic to being a part of the group?
Well, we knew some people. It's all about who you know, right? You heard that all the time in this industry.
True, yeah.
You know, well, it's true with my story, you know, and we were able to meet them through some people. We played in a band on the east side of Cleveland.
You and Mike.
Me and Mike, I should say. Me and Mike Hampton, Kid Funkadelic. That badass motherfucker. You know?
Your cousin.
But anyway, we met, and I mean, we met these guys. We were in talent shows all the time.
In Cleveland.
And we were able to win this one talent show on the east side of Cleveland, which we wasn't supposed to go over there. Our parents used to tell us never go on that side of town because it was pretty rough over there. But you know, what your parents tell you, you do the opposite. So we went over there, you know, and we, you know, me and Mike, we used to play Maggot Brain, and we won so many talent shows like that, because he actually learned Maggot Brain note for note, you know, and that was a big one with when we met P-Funk, you know, because these guys that knew P-Funk, that we played in this band with, we ended up going to a show, and after the show, it was an after party. After party was, our equipment was there, you know, because it was over these folks that we know. This guy, his name was Ed Sparks, and his family, and they had George and Gary and Eddie and all of them come by. Back in those days, P-Funk, Parliament Funkadelic, was in station wagons. There was no tour buses. This was like 1974. You know, there wasn't no Mothership yet. Right. So they wasn't big yet, you know, so, you know.
But that Mothership tour was 75?
76.
76, so it wasn't long before that all happened.
Yeah, I mean, like Mike got in the band in 74, and 2 years after that, you know, they was landing the Mothership, you know. So it was really deep for him, you know. But that's how we met them through friends, and we played, like, we went and hooked up, like, they were like, it was kind of planned in a way, you know.
Really? Wow.
Because the one guy, Ed Sparks, that I know, he was like, Mike is probably going to get snatched up tonight.
Yeah.
Damn.
And we were like, because they were older than us. We were like, I was 16, Mike was 17. I was in 11th grade. He was graduating. He was in the 12th grade.
And how old were they? How much older were they than you?
No, you know, like,
overall?
like Gary Scheider was like 5 years older than me. Like, I'm 66 now. You know, he would be like 71. Him and Boogie Mosson and stuff. But George is 82.
Right. He was always older.
He was always the older guy. You know, him in the Parliaments, they were all older guys. You know.
Got it.
But yeah, that's pretty much how we met them, man. And you know, it was funny because right after, like, we met them and they left and went back on tour, they had an incident with Eddie Hazel. He dropped like some acid. They took a flight. He went off on the flight attendant. He went to jail.
Jail.
Oh, damn.
They remembered this kid from
jail.
Cleveland.
That's how kids.
So they called him and they asked him if he would want to come out on the road. What? And boom,
Dude,
he
that's
went out.
crazy.
We're missing something in this story because I know y'all had a party, but like, how did you? P-Funk was at the party,
Yeah.
or Funkadelic, and y'all played for them.
We played
Yeah, we
Maggot
played
Brain.
that night.
You
We
played
had our
Maggot
amplifiers.
Brain.
That's what
Maggot
we rehearsed at the place that they had the
what's up.
party.
Oh, I see.
So our amplification was already there, you know, because it was the band. We played in this band with these guys who actually knew P-Funk.
And the P-Funk wanted y'all to play, or y'all was just ready?
So the guys that know us, they were older, around George and them age, you know, and they were like, tonight we want y'all to play.
Right. I see. Okay.
And let them know, because they've been following P-Funk, and, you know, they wanted George to know this kid that could play Maggot Brain note for note.
Exists.
And at one point in the party, that's when we went and hooked up. I played bass. I played like the arpeggio on bass.
And by that time, you guys had already been playing that from all these shows.
Yeah, we had been winning talent shows with it.
Killing it.
You know what I
went
mean?
from talent show to P-Funk.
I
dude.
love
Yeah.
it. Dude.
Fuck with that.
We was winning a lot of talent shows.
Prove it.
You know, we made a little money, you know, winning talent shows.
Y'all are proving that shit.
And we were just kids, you know, we were teenagers, you know, but it was something that, you know, P-Funk was pretty big in the neighborhood, you know. They were on the radio. It was a few songs that I remember, like Can You Get to That?
I wanna know.
Yeah, all of those kind of songs, they were like the singles at that time when we was coming up, you know. But that's how we met those guys. And, you know, I like I said, I ended up going to college. I went to Central State University for a couple of years. And then I went to see Michael. I moved to Milwaukee, Wisconsin with a friend. And I went to the Conservatory of Wisconsin for like about 6 months.
Conservatory of Music?
Yeah.
Playing electric bass or upright
No,
bass?
upright. You have to play upright.
Oh,
you know.
heck yeah, dude.
But, you know, that was a thing where I didn't stay there long because P-Funk came to Chicago, and Milwaukee is real close to Chicago. So my buddy, I wanted to go see Mike, you know, so I hadn't seen Mike in a while since, like, you know, so I went off to school and he got with that.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to see him and just kind of hooked up, and I didn't end up going back to school, you know.
Right. So
Yeah.
let me ask you this, a little curveball. In your time at the conservatory playing upright bass,
Yeah.
did anything of your conservatory education, once you got to be in Funkadelic, what, if any, of that conservatory
Translated.
stuff were like kind of stuck with you in the Funkadelic
Yeah.
application?
Yeah,
Like,
well, writing, when you're, you know, when you, first of all, George, all of those guys, like I was telling Brian Till, Bernie was the glue. He was
Because he
classically,
was
he was classically trained, but they had like amazing ears and all of this creation, that used to come from Eddie and all of these guys, and they were very churchy, gospel, you know, and you mix that with classical, you know, there's some crazy shit going on with that, you know. But Bernie was able to, if they was doing something a little out, he was able to bring them back in because he knew theory like that.
He's like, oh, just do it like he could kind of tweak a couple things. And
Yeah,
you
know, let them know like, oh, well, if you go here, then that's right.
I see. Okay.
You know what I mean? Because that's when you ain't studied. You know what I mean? You know, and I talked to Bernie like that a lot of times. You know, he used to always, you know, he wanted you to know more about that.
That's cool. I like that.
You know.
So
what I
was
mean?
he like the only at one time, or like before you got in, was he the only conservatory cat?
No, yeah,
in the
Walter
band?
Morrison, Junie. You know, he was that guy. You know, he came in. He was
So
studying.
he played in Funkadelic?
Walter Morrison, yeah, from the Ohio Players.
Okay, I didn't
Junie
realize
is what his nickname was or
Right.
whatever, but
he did One Nation.
he did One Nation. I was telling Brian that, and I was telling him he also did Knee Deep.
That makes
But
sense.
he did, like, if you listen to the One Nation Under a Groove album, CD or whatever, you know, he's pretty much on a lot of that, you know.
Junie playing keys.
Junie, yeah. He helped write and arrange a lot of that stuff.
So was it Junie and Bernie together at a point?
Yeah, that was George's whole dream, and he got that, to bring them two together. Because Junie had hits with the Ohio Players already, you know, Pain and all of those badass hits back in the 70s that they did. Then he left Ohio Players,
Okay.
you know, and he went on his own. And then George picked him up. George, you know, it's like Junie, like, you know, the guy from the Spinners, Felipe Wynn. It would be like these guys that he would pick up, like Felipe is on Knee Deep singing, you know.
Wow.
So he would find these guys, or they would come to him,
His pants.
you know, and they would have some beautiful music to share, you know. And George has always been a lyricster. You know, he's a concept man and a great lyricster. You know, he's written so many lyrics, it's just ridiculous. You know.
So when you guys were talking about like recording in the studio,
Yeah.
would you guys just kind of like get there? Because I feel like sometimes like with the whole Hendrix albums, like especially ElectricLouieLand,
Yeah.
you hear them like it's like you can tell they're just in the studio and there's like people there.
Oh yeah.
And like, how was it? How did you guys like? How did they write? How did you guys do stuff? Was it jamming? What?
Well, yeah. I mean, like a lot
Obviously,
of
it's
a lot
jamming,
of stuff will start before you get to the studio.
Okay.
You know, a lot of ideas, but once you get in there, that's what I used to like about analog. You know, like it was just raw and nasty.
Yeah.
You know, but we would cut to like a drum machine, a little what we call man in the box, and you know, lay a click. But a lot of imagination came from just a click. You know, like a lot of the rockers, they usually record drums first. Funk is the opposite. They usually have just like a click track going, and then someone will come in there with their idea and put all their feeling on it. Then you have the drummer come in last and play to all of that feeling. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little different the way that, you know, you actually make the record. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, there's nothing wrong with cutting the drums first if that's the way they do it.
No, I see what you mean. It's just a different. It's kind of just a certain approach. It's not right or wrong. It's
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
No, that's cool.
I mean, you're going to overdub anyway, so what the fuck? Yeah, you know.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
We got Deitz on Beats Media. He's working double duty. He's doing media.
And I'm glad we're
on
doing
the
this show
podcast.
tomorrow, man.
Yeah, man. I'm so glad that you guys are doing this because for me, it's like I play a lot of jazz guitar just because I like it.
But
Yeah.
you're a rock
But
and roller at
yeah,
heart,
like
man.
for
You
me,
can't fool
like
nobody.
the reason I play guitar is because I just love, like, I found it through. I mean, really, it wasn't even Hendrix first. I kind of found it through like, Metallica, and
Oh,
I was
wow, I
into
didn't know-
AC/DC and like Zeppelin, and then my buddy gave me a Hendrix record, and I wasn't even into it at first as much.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, like at first, and then I became obsessed with it, and so and I just liked how he was playing, and that kind of drove me towards jazz eventually because I just always wanted to be able to improvise
he
like
was
that.
flirting with that. Like,
yeah.
like everybody talks about how if the record would have happened between Miles and Jimmy,
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
like what that would have been if Jimmy wouldn't have passed.
Right.
And that's like one of the things, like I was saying earlier when we finished up the rehearsal, like for me with Parliament and with Funkadelic is like I've seen so many interviews of George talking about, and Bootsy too, a lot, talking about the influence of Jimi Hendrix,
of course,
and what that did for them. And so for me being a Jimmy disciple, to be from that school and then to find Parliament, it was like perfect.
Yeah.
It was like everything I'm looking for in music.
For sure. No, I totally get you.
So
I can dig that because I was, like I said, influences can come from anywhere, and however you perceive it, I had an uncle that played electric guitar, and I was really little, and my mother used to take me over the house, and I would see him on a stand. They were like yours, like the hollow bodies, like the 335.
Yeah.
And I would just stare at them, you know what I mean? But they just, some kind of way, I knew I just wanted to play them or try to learn how to play.
did you start on guitar?
Yeah, I started on guitar. He was asking me that.
Sorry, you were out there.
Okay.
Guitar was like, because my cousin Michael Hampton
Right.
got one.
And he's a year older.
Yeah, and I just wanted to have one too. And like I said, at first I wasn't really, I got it, you know what I mean? But I was off in the sports too, and
What did you play?
I played football.
What position?
Left corner, right corner.
So you fast.
I was fast. Back in the day, a couple of interceptions here and there.
Yeah.
But football was just crazy because you get hurt. And that's when I started playing more. I got hurt a couple times.
Right.
And I was like, let me just see if I can. And plus my cousin was egging me on. Mike was saying, hey, man, come on, man, you can do it. Because he seen I had a little something going on.
Right.
You can have a talent or not,
And he saw it in you.
He saw it in me because he was playing too, like, he's being taught and everything, so.
Oh, he had formal lessons?
Yeah, he had
that?
a couple lessons when he first came in. His dad was able to get him some lessons and, learn, because it's important, like the whole back and forth picking thing with guitar players that's probably the deepest shit of life. Especially for me when I was trying to, because I used to watch Mike sit up and just go up and down on the neck, up and down.
I see you have your wrist closed.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I noticed with Mike when he plays.
Yeah.
His wrist is closed.
Closed, man. Like a motherfucker. Mm-hmm. It's like a machine gun. And so, but that's a whole skill. You have to really work on that. Mm-hmm. That was one of the things that I was lazy about playing guitar. You know what I mean? I knew you had to, because that's a whole nother muscle.
Right.
Like bass is like on some old, with the fingers.
Right.
But then you got kids now that's playing with the fingers and
all kind of shit.
All kind of crazy shit, man.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, now they can find everything,
That's the other part is like where technology's at. I mean, even for me in my 10, 15 years of playing professionally and really trying to figure out music at its core, like I can remember like when YouTube came out, and I can remember like when we went from CDs to like shit on a digital, like on a computer, and then like when the first shit where you could slow shit down.
Yeah.
Because, like, for me, and I know Louis can relate to this, being guitar players, like, the first tools that you have in our era is, like, tablature, you know?
Right.
Like, we couldn't read music.
No.
I still can't read. Louis can read. I still can't. I went to college. I didn't get that part. But
guys, he can read music.
I mean, you
not-
have to practice it, you know. I mean,
I was never.
my sight reading is shit. Now,
My
you know.
ears are way quicker than my eyes, so I just
Yeah.
kind of stuck with that. But
Check that out.
like, you know, you have these tablatures, and then you're listening to the music, and you realize that what you're hearing, and you're reading it, and it's not right. So you're going with your ears, and then you learn all your stuff as guitar players like that off of records, and then all this tech came in with the slow down and now you got the isolating instruments.
Oh,
and
that's
so now
tricky. I
it's-
haven't even done that yet.
Man, we did it. Man,
dude,
we did it for some of
AK
that
was
for this rehearsal because the shit was so
Oh.
buried in the mix, and like me, I just get so
You're
like
obsessed.
you know,
trying
you
to
listen
find
to
it.
the thing 50 million times.
Yeah, it sounds the same.
As slow as you can, and you're like trying to get the exact,
Yeah.
because you want to find the magic
Yeah.
that you could only really find, really, if you're have a chance to get the masters and the stems and like hear the shit. Like, this is the guitar track for this recording session, and then you're like, oh, you know. So now it's like the lay person, you know, the consumer has access to almost that.
Yeah.
So it makes, you know, the generations that come have all the more skill sets because they have access to this insane technology, you know?
Wow.
When we first met, I downloaded that app, learned field maneuvers.
Yeah.
That's how I got it. Just slowed it down,
Nice.
you know.
Well, yeah, you got
The
to
litmus
figure out
test
a
of
way.
Funkadelic, too.
Right.
I appreciate you guys.
Dude, likewise, right back at you, man.
Man.
So glad we could do this. I mean, I've been, you know, it's nice to get to sit down and chat, you know, with the people that done this before us, you know.
Oh,
So it's
yeah,
like-
man. Shit.
And especially you guys, you know, this is everything that me and Ricky love. So, and for me, it's like I still am learning stuff too, you know.
Yeah.
The rabbit hole goes deep.
Yeah.
But
Man, it's like the amount of time that I've spent in the Parliament Funkadelic rabbit hole, and like I'm not even to half of where Jeremy's at. It's so deep, and like I was talking with Lige earlier, the thing about Parliament that resonates with me and why they're on my Mount Rushmore. Where are my glasses at? Oh, here we go.
Yeah. Put your sunglasses on.
I can't be looking like no.
Come on.
I gotta save these eyes, you know, for the show. But the thing that really resonates with me, and part of why Parliament Funkadelic is on my Mount Rushmore of artists, is that they are the foundation for the whole West Coast hip hop movement. Dr. Dre, Snoop, Battle Cat. Parliament is the foundation, the funkdation. They influence all that, but then at the same time, on the other side, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, like George, produced their early records, and so I don't really know of any one band, right, that has had such a far, at least in American music, that has such a far-reaching influence across genres like that, that influence rock, you know, the funk rock, the funk rock of the 90s, and then the hip hop of the 90s at the same time. Like no other group can lay claim to that. So for that alone, Parliament stands atop, you know, on the Mount Rushmore of musical artists in American popular music.
Yeah, you could do 5 degrees of separation very easily with anyone. Do that, Mr. Clinton.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, George, we all know now, like, his music will live on, you know, just like the characters, you know.
Right, music, art,
You know, he always says, you know, Sir Nose and all these different characters, Dr. Funkenstein. He always talked about, you know, characters live forever, like Bugs Bunny and, you know, all of the animated.
I mean, it's true though. It's like story lives on, you know.
Yeah.
I remember Big Easy Vibes. So.
Well, live music is so special still.
Well, it's even more so now, I would argue.
I mean, we have to. You know, for me, just back in 2020, I mean, when this pandemic hit, and that stopped us all from gathering. You know, there was no more gatherings of people. And this is what we do for a living, you know. Outside of making records, you go out and you perform the music as well. And, you know, we have to think about, you know, how precious it is, you know, to have live music still, to have instrumentation, people playing, you know. And it's you know, I come from an era where, you know, before digital, you know. So for me, analog was everything, and it still is, you know. A lot of those records that are sampled from P-Funk that the rappers and the hip-hop community has gotten a hold to, it's all analog stuff, you know. So it's a sound, you know. And hip-hop just, you know, took it, and I love what they did, you know, because it kept us alive. We were able to, by the time De La Soul dropped Me, Myself, and I, promoters were calling George's management trying to find out where we were. And then we started touring again. So we owe a lot to hip-hop as well, you know, because we were just cruising. You know, it's like, you find those old school concerts and stuff, you know, and Mr. Clinton was never really interested in none of that stuff, you know. But, you know, we were able to keep going, you know, and keep, you know, it's interesting out here because you have to, longevity is that word is deep, because you have to really put in work to create the longevity. You know, it just don't happen. You have to work for that part. And that's what a lot of us don't understand. A lot of the young ones don't understand. And that's how you sustain yourself. And just good material. You know, if you got a following going on now in the social media world, ain't nothing like it, man. You know, because the playing field has been leveled now.
Yeah.
You know, there's no label that control you in that way, where down to marketing, you know, you can do so much more on your own.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, once you create the following, and man, the sky's the limit, because the cyber world is just jumping off the hook right now.
Which is what makes it so exciting, though, honestly, because it's like, you're right. It's like, I mean, now, talk about like having like a renaissance.
Yeah.
I mean, because now anyone that, you know, can get a computer or have access to someone that knows someone, can make something and put it on your phone. And
yeah.
I mean, what we're doing right now would have been, you would have never been able to do this easily.
Right, in the basement.
Yeah.
The rehearsal space.
Yeah.
Well, everything is portable now. You know what I mean? You can move around now with it, you know.
Right. It's not as, no, you're right. It's not as big.
You know, stuff used to be big and bulky.
Right. That's one of the good sides to the digital.
Yeah.
Because everything got smaller,
small. Man, you know.
You know what's cool, though, about, like, I feel like music, you kind of end up having to, like all the musicians you end up studying all the people behind you.
Yeah.
So it's like you always end up like furthering that stuff. Like that's kind of part, like I feel like that's kind of part of the jazz ethos.
Yeah.
A lot.
It is.
It's because they're always like, that's what it was. It's like Monk was always teaching everyone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and it's just like there was like, you know, Miles was kind of leading the way, and then, you know, and then like Wayne came out, you know, I don't know. It's just like they were all like teaching each other and like carrying the torch.
Yeah, well, they were teaching each other. They was writing the book, changing things.
Man, I want to ask
You
you,
know.
because we were talking about Wayne earlier.
Yeah.
As far, and I don't know if this is anything at the time that you were in at the conservatory that you got there, but as far as jazz, did you listen to jazz as a youngster or a young adult? Like, did it have any effect on your musicianship, or did it come later?
I didn't listen to jazz like deep. No, I didn't.
Got it.
I didn't really start listening to jazz until I got to college.
Same for.
I mean, me too, bro. I didn't know
You
what
know
it
what
was.
I mean?
Yeah.
It was all commercial music on the radio, and whatever my parents was playing.
Did they have jazz at home or no?
My dad and my mother, they grew up in Mississippi,
Okay.
so they were blues people.
Right.
You know, my
So
dad loved John Lee Hooker,
Nice. See, that's,
Muddy Waters.
that's Hendrix, bro.
all of that. You know, my mother loved.
Did they ever go to the clubs or to see those artists in Mississippi back when they were?
Yeah, you know, I mean, a lot of those, and plus the churches, because that's where you would see the staple singers and all those gospel people as well, you know. So yeah, you would go see whatever you could go see, you know. That was the thing, you know. I'm glad that my parents played the music they played around me. Like I said, it was a lot of blues. Bobby Blue Bland and, you know, the deep blues cats, you know, from the way back in the day.
Yeah, that's tight, though.
You know what I mean? All the way up to the Johnny Taylors and all of them. And, you know, and blues, you know, like B.B. King was one of the masters, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he could always find different ways to present the blues.
I mean, that's the idiom right there.
You know what I mean?
You nailed it, right?
It wasn't
this
just-
guy nailed it, dude. That's it, right there.
It wasn't. It's sometimes you hear these same, you know, call and response things, you know, but then he started writing stuff, you know, like from The Thrill Is Gone all the way past that, you know, because he started doing big band stuff and, you know, and that gives you a broader vision of how you want to present these things.
Well, that's what I love so much about like jazz, because for me it's like I ended up finding it by going to school.
Yeah.
No one had ever shown me.
Yeah, same with me.
It's like how you supposed to
Yeah.
know if you don't know, like. But like, it's funny because like blues, I just love how like I don't know, the older I get and the more I study, it's just like now I'm just like so hyper.
The shit is deep, man.
It's so
the
deep.
Shit is deep.
It's deep and it's so simple at the same time.
It's very
and I
simple.
see it everywhere now.
Yeah.
I can't go one lesson without telling them like, see, dude, it's just blues.
Well, the thing is, man, to me,
like when it comes down to it, dude, like.
well, they talk about, you know, like any fucking documentary or PBS, anything about music in America always goes to blues is the only, or, you know, jazz, but blues is really the first uniquely American.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
art
it's all
form, art form, right?
Yeah.
So if everything comes out of that in this country, right? Any genre of music you play, that's American. Whether
part of its
whether
history,
it's jazz, whether it's rock and roll,
it's anything.
whether it's funk, like in any of those genres, the moment you go to the blues, it fits. And even like I feel like you can really relate to this, Lou. Like when you see like really heady nowadays jazz, like with cats that all went to college and sat at a desk and wrote chords and all that. Like even with all that,
but they did that back in the day too.
But what
Like-
I'm saying is, the moment it goes to the blues in the set, if it's a set of real heady shit, the moment that it gets to the blues is the moment that the whole crowd
Yeah, no, there's some
erupts.
Yeah.
Because it's the root of music
visceral,
in this country.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because, dude, I 100% agree.
I know your whole shit on the Overtone series.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that. Like, I'm just saying that I don't know. I think there's a lot there, and I don't think you can really explain it. There's really no way to really, like.
Well, to me, it's like, if you're gonna say that blues is the foundation of American music, you have to say that black music is the foundation of American music.
Well, then blues even, that's African. It came from Africa. The Africans came over here through what we know of from slavery. Those modes that they were singing came from Africa. We call it blues. Once you get to America, I guess you had, license to call it what you want to call it.
Mm.
But yeah, those are African rhythms, man. The 1-3-5, that's all African, mixed with the beat, you know what I mean? And by the time they came over here, they singing in the fields. That's why I like gospel and blues was when you grew up in a black family, that's why, you found out about the crossroads.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like, you either go down this road or down that road,
Mm-hmm.
And if you chose gospel and then you went over to blues, you was considered singing the devil music.
Yeah, which is so funny because you can't escape the blues and gospel music.
It's all part. It's all one.
Yeah,
it's all one.
It's literally the foundation.
Like Ray Charles was a good example too. Like when he first started, he was playing these blues, things, and then his first big hit was from a gospel mode. Tell me what I say.
Right.
That's some gospel.
Yeah.
And the gospel community kind of
got mad at him.
They got mad.
Yeah, they got
him.
mad at him. I've heard this before too.
Well, you
Yeah,
see
yeah.
the movie, the one that Jamie Foxx did. They kind of elaborated on a little bit, But it just goes to show you, like, all of that is the same. That's why it's a part of us. Now it's Western music, it's because the thing with the Beatles, listening to Fats Domino, Chuck Berry, Bo Diddley, by the time they started electrifying that shit after Muddy Waters and all of them, it just started elevating. Blues just started turning into other shit,
Did
Yeah,
you-
I mean, you're totally right.
Did you see the Beatles when they came out on the Ed Sullivan Show?
Yeah, I was a kid.
Everybody saw that. So
Yeah.
talk about that moment. Was that an impactful moment for you, or was it
Definitely.
like, oh, this is cool, or how
Anything
did it
that
hit you?
came on the Ed Sullivan Show, I was right in front of the TV. Jackson 5, I seen them. That blew me. I was like, I gotta do this. I was like, I gotta do this. It's like these kids my age are doing it, killing it. I was like, I must know how to do this.
Well, we were talking about the Jacksons before.
Yeah.
About, you were saying Tito and
Jermaine.
Jermaine could really play.
They could really play. Everybody started doing the tape at one point, you know what I mean? But they could actually really play, Mm-hmm. And, I've seen Tito play. When I lived in L.A., he used to play around town. I used to go try to see him as much as I could. And he's playing blues, He's loving the blues now. It's like when you get to that point, you either, okay, I'm going to be jazzed up or I'm going to be blues up or I'm going to be jazzed and blues together, You know what? It soothes you.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, it's funny to me because, like, just the arc of, I mean, at least up until this point, but the arc of music history, is, at least like American history, it's like it kind of starts with blues, and then it goes like through all these different eras, including, you know, the jazz era. You get to swing and bebop, all this post-bop, all this stuff, and then rock and roll gets burst because it electrifies, like literally. You know what I mean?
But you got all the in between too. You got bluegrass. You got
of course, yeah.
country. You got, and all of those things are still related.
Right,
know?
but it ends up. And then it's, for me, it's just funny because it's like, you know, when I study all this stuff, it's like, it's so rooted in the blues, and then it kind of strays. It's variations off it, like you were saying. It's like, how can you play the blues differently?
Right.
And Wayne, we were talking about Wayne, he does that perfectly.
Yeah.
And it's all about how do you interpret it on your own. What's your version of it? And it's just funny because it's like, you know, me loving rock and roll in the beginning, and still obviously, but like, it's like it's all rooted in the blues. It kind of went back to the beginning. You know what I'm saying? It's like you started here, and then they went like crazy, like, and then it just like ended up back here again.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Which is a good thing. You know, I like to see music evolve, though. You know, and it's doing it. It's doing it in a way, you know.
No, for sure.
Technology is making music do different things.
Yeah, it's cool. No, I would agree. Yeah.
Are there any new or current artists that you've heard within the last 5-10 years that you're like, man, I like what this artist is putting down? You feel like just anyone you like? It could be outside of any genres, and then also another question is, any current artists that you feel like are carrying the Funkadelic torch, you know, people that are kind of coming from that and taking it.
Well, the torch, yeah. I mean, you got some people. You know, I like Silk Sonic, what Anderson .Paak and Bruno Mars is doing. You know,
of course.
As far as taking on the next funk, and it's kind of like R&B too.
Right.
But it's old school.
Right.
You
and
know,
of course they got Bootsy.
Exactly.
Bootsy christened them with that name.
Well, there you go. Bootsy is everywhere.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he gave them the name Silk Sonic.
Oh, what?
He's everywhere.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Bootzilla, baby. But no, I like what they're doing because, you know, I had a chance to jam with Anderson .Paak. I did a session in L.A. About a couple years back with George, Mr. Clinton, and Justin Timberlake.
Mm-hmm.
We was doing stuff for the Trolls movie.
Oh,
that came out.
Nice.
And it was just funny working with, you know, I got a chance to jam with Anderson, you know, and he's a funky cat, man.
Yeah. Obviously.
He's a hard hitter.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
That's that church background.
He's a hard hitting cat, man. I was like, dang, the snare is like getting ready to bust. Cock. I'm like, okay. But that really sets a pocket, too.
Mm-hmm.
It's a, you know, drummers like the command. I know you know about that, Jeremy.
Reserve.
You got to have that attention. But, yeah, man, you know.
Hit them shits.
Yeah, we had a good rehearsal today, getting off the subject a little bit.
Did.
You know, we're going to be doing this tomorrow. And
Woo. Can't wait.
the Acid Vault.
Yes, sir.
It's my first time going to be in the Acid Vault.
Mm-hmm.
Well, people don't know you are a San Diego local now.
I live here. I've been living here
This guy lives here?
for like 12 years.
Shazam, bitch.
What?
Yeah, but I'm never home, you know, touring with George. But it's getting slow now because he's like 82. And I said, let me try to get to know some of these people around here. I stayed in L.A. for like 7 years, and then we moved down here through some people we knew. And my girl loves it, Star Colors. She loves it more down here than L.A., so we kind of just stayed here, you know.
What up, Star?
Yeah. And like I said, I really just never got a chance to get into the communities locally, you know.
I think tomorrow is going to be like kind of Because I know you did.
I mean, I know a few people, you know.
Right. But tomorrow is like, you're going to get all the young musicians, all the non-musicians that love funk music that are young, like the whole little enclave.
And you're gonna get a crossover too of like, I'm sure some of the church guys we know are gonna see this.
That's cool.
So,
man.
And streaming too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody's gonna.
Oh, how do you get to the
Around
stream?
the world, yeah, we gotta find
It's
that
just
link.
gonna be on. It's just gonna be on my YouTube. I mean, it's on multiple things, but the easiest one's probably my YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we have to hook Lige up with that link.
I'll send you a link. It's just literally it's youtube.com/.
I mean, actually, some people I know from Europe has already messaged me on Facebook.
Okay.
It's like, is it gonna be streamed? He's like, what'd he say? I know this is a stupid question, Lige, but is it gonna be streamed?
Yeah, it is. Tell
And
me.
I was like, yeah, it's gonna be streamed. I just didn't have any information.
Yeah,
So we'll have them. Since you send them the link, and then tell them on the stream that they can contribute
Of course.
financially.
That's easy,
too.
bro. I have it all dialed up. It's on
There
the.
you go.
Right.
I got it.
There
You
you
gotta
go.
encourage the people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun
But
Mothership.
man, this
Yeah,
has
man.
been like incredible to just sit
Yeah,
and have a
man.
conversation.
Yeah.
And thanks.
I'm
to
gonna have
Louie
to
for
get
bringing
back
us
Thank you,
back
together.
Louie.
over though.
Thank you, Lige.
I'm loving it, man.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ricky.
I can't wait for tomorrow night.
Pretty
Yeah.
good.
Well, man,
We're
thank
gonna
you.
make it funky and
Funkadelic night. Acid Ball. Be there
yeah.
if you didn't get your ticket already.
That's a funkadelic night, huh?
Yes, sir.
Funkadelic.
That's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. I'm pretty sure we all just have the opportunity to be funkadelics will appreciate this. Just playing, like I said, rehearsing today, I enjoyed it. I'm glad to be a part of the podcast. I wouldn't have missed it for the world,
Appreciate that, man.
Well, thank you
So-
so much, man. We really
Yeah, man.
appreciate you and making all this great music and linking
Yeah.
up. And special thanks to Ricky
Yeah, Mr.
for making
G.
this happen.
Ricky G.
And yeah, man. I mean,
G.
we're gonna add this to a great pile of interviews. So we really
Okay.
appreciate you, man.
Cool, man.
So it's cool to see the other side, you know.
Yeah.
Lige Curry in the building.
Yes,
It's
sir.
on bass.
Hey, and people don't know that Lige got his start in the Funkadelic singing.
Oh yeah. Well, I've been singing for a while. It's just being with George. I've sang actually more in the beginning of my career with him, and as time went on, I started playing more bass. Because they knew I could play a little bass too.
So the people are gonna be in for a real treat tomorrow to see you do
Yeah.
both.
Well, yeah. There you go.
How many?
We're
bass
finna take it
players?
to them.
That's right.
Well, thank you guys, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow. So we appreciate you.
Man, thank you so much
Yeah.
for having me, man.
All right, man. Thank you.
Yes, sir. We out.
You guys, thank you, man. That's great.
This is the bomb,
Awesome.
man.
A jive symphonic funk of off-tone melodies and open-tone vibrations. It's life